It's a little bit different out here when you get Caitlin Clark treatment. It ain't so easy peasy getting to play one-on-one, getting to just do your thing how you want to do it, when you want to do it.
Okay, get ready, because the truth is finally out. The WNBA's desperate attempt to manufacture next Caitlin Clark just blew up in front of a national audience. Paige Bueckers, the media's hand-picked darling, the supposed heir to Clark's throne, the one hyped as the savior of women's basketball, just got a brutal reality check, hand-delivered by the Seattle Storm. And let me tell you, this wasn't just a stumble, it was an exposure session. A loud reminder that hype melts fast when it collides with the cold, hard truth of WNBA-level defense. Are you still buying the Paige Bueckers hype? Let us know in the comments, because this was the very first time we truly saw what happens.
Paige, really get guarded. This is where we saw what is going to happen in year 2. This is the scout report that needs to be out there on Paige Bueckers once the Dallas Wings get good, because Dallas Wings are going to get good at some stage in her career. This was the game where I'm like,
all right, let's just break down the evidence for a second.
The elevation of one Paige Bueckers. Oh, she's better than Caitlin Clark. I mean, stab me in the eye with a spoon, for Christ's sakes. Wow. So that's a thing right now. Last night, Paige Bueckers dropped 44 points. And we're going to look at a video that just dissects and exposes a lot of that shit. Let me tell you. It exposes a lot of stuff involving Paige Bueckers getting special treatment on the court.
Remember when even Paige's old coach, Gino Auriemma, dropped some surprising comments about Caitlin Clark? That moment pretty much set the whole tone for how everyone treated, or honestly, mistreated and doubted Clark from the very beginning.
And Diana said it best. This kid's in for a rude awakening. And they all jumped over her, but they didn't read the whole thing that she said. But nobody's printing. You know, Diana Taurasi was right. This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league. And she's a rookie. And if you're a WNBA player, if you're any kind of player, you're going to say, I'm going to make a statement.
Paige did snag one impressive stat, becoming the fastest player to 200 points and 50 assists, just edging out Clark's pace by a single game. And let me tell you, that little nugget had analysts absolutely foaming at the mouth, screaming about how polished she was, how ready she looked compared to Caitlin. The hype train was chugging full speed, with ESPN happily selling first-class tickets. But here's the thing about hype. It only survives until reality slaps it square in the face. And this reality? It was wearing Seattle Storm green.
Diva of Dump Divas Kat Engelbert is breathing a sigh of relief. Her pretend friends in the mainstream media, they are trying to crown a new star. If the media has it their way, this could potentially be the new face of pretend basketball. And it's not just the woke media. There are even some in conservative media who are voluntarily biting into the shit sandwich. Headline at Outkick. No, Caitlin, no problem. Paige Bueckers can save the WNBA season.
So, fresh off her overblown, crowning moment, that 44-point outburst against the Sparks, Paige strolled into Seattle like she was still on her coronation parade. The problem? The Storm weren't rolling out red carpets for her. Instead, they rolled out traps, contests, and pure, raw physicality. What followed wasn't a coronation at all. It was a demolition.
She went off in a game against the Los Angeles Sparks, scoring 44 points. But the craziest part about that was her shooting percentage. She shot over 80% from the field. And I tweeted about that. And I was like, that's actually insane. Give props where they are due. Shooting over 80%, scoring 44 points is actually insane. But with this game, like Paige Bueckers she put on a masterclass in scoring. And I think with that.
And when you look at the raw statistics from that game, the numbers are seriously telling a story you won't believe.
For the game, you said it's going to be important to be physical with like Paige Bueckers. Can you talk about the defensive game plan for Dallas and like how your team was able to hold them to their fewest points of the season?
Yeah, it started, with our attention to detail with Paige. I thought, Slim was very physical, stayed in her space, and the actions that we guarded her in, we were very aggressive, showed multiple bodies, and kind of, made her hesitant to use the ball screen a little bit. I thought we rotated well.
And here's where it truly gets fascinating. Because while Paige was completely wilting under just one night of real defensive pressure, Caitlin Clark has been living in that exact storm for over a year. She's the player who didn't just shake up the league, she redefined it. But what has she gotten in return? Treatment that would make NFL linebackers cringe. The receipts are brutal. 17% of all flagrant fouls in the entire 2024 WNBA season were committed against Caitlin Clark alone. That's not basketball, folks. That's open season targeting.
Paige Bueckers got Caitlin Clark treatment for the first time in her career, and it looked bad. It looked real bad. Everybody was running around. Yeah, she was cooking 44 points versus the Sparks. They didn't play a lick of defense, letting this girl play one-on-one basketball in every area of the floor, letting her post up in the mid-range area one-on-one. Now, I'm giving credit. She's a bucket in one-on-one, especially from that mid-range, from the free throw line down area. But this is the first time we watch teams actively be persistent about taking away her spots and what.
Want to see who's doing the targeting? Look no further than the Chicago Sky, who made it a personal hobby to body Clark. They accounted for a staggering 80% of those flagrant fouls. Meanwhile, Paige was just floating around, getting caught like she was still playing a light scrimmage in college. The very first time she faced Clark-level intensity, she absolutely shriveled. Her shots vanished, her efficiency evaporated, and her game looked completely hollow. Seattle's defense treated her like the star she was hyped to be, and exposed her as anything but. She got absolutely licked, getting doubled on every possession.
And do you want to know what she did as soon as she got blitzed in doubles? She passed. Paige Bueckers, look, she played decent amount early in the game. The game was kind of over and she got subbed out. Paige Bueckers shot 7.
She was doubled 7 times. The media, of course, had been parading Paige's shooting percentages like gospel. Her smooth 47.4% clip was trumpeted endlessly, constantly contrasted against Clark's rookie 41. They sold it as undeniable proof that Paige was more polished, but here's what they conveniently skipped. Clark was taking the hardest shots in the league while absorbing hits that barely even drew whistles. Paige's pretty numbers came off soft defense and wide open looks. When she was finally guarded like a star, those numbers collapsed instantly. 2 makes on 11 attempts? That's not efficiency. That's a mirage dissolving the second it's tested. Meanwhile, Clark continues to torch defenses designed to break her. She takes contested threes from 28 feet, drives through hacks, shrugs off elbows, and still delivers highlight reels that sell out arenas. Her resilience makes Paige's struggles look even more glaring. Clark has proven she can take punishment and still perform at a generational level. Paige got one taste of that pressure and completely vanished.
Paige Bueckers, let me ask you this. How did it feel to be blitzed and played 94 feet before you even get a chance to bring the ball up court like your name was Caitlin Clark, aka my precious CC? You didn't like that, huh? You hear me? You out there was looking like you was about to cry. Yeah, so what do your fans have to say now? Excuse me, where are you Paige Bueckers fans at? That's y'all MVP and face of the league, right? She's boring. She's not good enough. She gets special treatment. But understand, she
just kept getting blitz after blitz after blitz. Let's not sugarcoat what we saw. Paige Bueckers got 1 game's worth of Caitlin Clark treatment, and she utterly collapsed. The media's next Caitlin Clark crumbled into a next off-the-bench option. This is the same player analysts swore was superior in every way, more poised, more fundamentally sound, more efficient. Yet, when the spotlight got hot and the defense got physical, she looked completely lost. That's the difference between hype and history. And Caitlin Clark has been writing history since day one. Paige Bueckers, she's just another name on the long list of players who couldn't handle the weight of Clark's shadow. The numbers, the film, and the narrative all tell the same story. Paige Bueckers isn't the heir to Caitlin Clark. She's a product of the media hype machine that finally got unplugged. When the Seattle Storm exposed her, they didn't just hand her a bad game. They ripped the curtain back on an illusion the WNBA and ESPN have been desperate to sell since Clark's arrival changed everything. And once fans saw the truth, the entire hoax collapsed.
Look up how the WNBA played against Caitlin Clark in terms of the defensive strategy, in terms of the other basketball teams around the WNBA, what they did against Caitlin Clark versus how they've handled Paige this year. Everybody wants to act like Paige is so much better than Caitlin. They're certainly not playing defense on Paige the way they played on Caitlin. They're certainly not attacking her with unnecessary fouls the way they attacked Caitlin with unnecessary fouls last year. So in the 2024 season, there were 35 flagrant fouls called. Caitlin Clark received 17% of the entire season's flagrant fouls, 17%. I mean, we've seen all the injuries, we've seen all the fights, the MMA fights that the WNBA players have gotten into this year. There haven't been 35 flagrant fouls called.
Okay, let's dive into the raw stats, because those are precisely what the media has been leaning on to sell Paige as the next big thing. Caitlin Clark's rookie year, 19 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds a night, all while being hacked, bumped, and fouled harder than anyone else in the league. Paige Bueckers' rookie averages, 19.7 points, 5.3 assists, and 4. On paper, she edges Clark slightly in scoring, and that's exactly what the hype merchants at ESPN screamed about. She's already outpacing Caitlin, but here's the kicker. Those numbers are absolutely nothing without context. Clark's buckets came while she was the primary target of every defensive scheme in the league. She absorbed flagrant fouls at twice the rate of any other player. Teams literally told defenders to get physical with her as a game plan, and she still delivered. Bueckers, she floated through games with kid glove treatment. Defenders gave her space, rotated late, and let her build up efficiency numbers that look great on paper, but crumble the second anyone actually closes out.
In a 17 on the floor, she had 0 assists and 11 points. 0 assists. 0. 0 assists. I don't like. That's mental. That's mental for a player that they were trying to say was better than Caitlin Clark. And I'm not even going to say, oh yeah, you know, the points are everything. Points aren't everything at the end of the day. Assists aren't everything. Like, all of these individual stats aren't everything. It was just the fact that she literally, how many blitzes did the Indiana, or how many open shots did the Indiana Fever get off a Caitlin?
When Seattle decided to flip the script and guard her like Clark, it was like watching a glass figurine tossed into a construction zone. 2 made field goals on 11 attempts, 0 assists, and just 2 rebounds. That's not efficiency, folks. That's pure exposure. And here's what's worse for Paige. The Storm didn't just beat her. They built a blueprint every other team will copy. Brittany Sykes bodied her on the perimeter. Skylar Diggins-Smith rotated over to cut off driving lanes, and Gabby Williams, plus Erica Wheeler, took turns contesting every single shot. That's what Clark has seen since her first game in the league. That's what Paige got for one night, and she completely folded. Coach Noelle Quinn explained it perfectly. It wasn't just about one defender, it took layers. Multiple defenders keyed in on her every action, and once she faced that treatment, the stat padding vanished. 2 buckets out of 11 attempts. All the so-called fundamental polish went out the window the second she was treated like Caitlin Clark.
When you guard a player like Paige, it's not just relying on, you know, your guards, whoever has a main matchup, but it becomes a team picture, and understanding, you know, rotations on the ball, off the ball. And I think the other thing that we did, you know, early on, we rebounded decently out of it. We didn't give up too many. I think it was 12 second chance points at the half, but not a lot of you know, deflating possessions after having a lot of deflections and things like that.
Now, of course, Paige's defenders immediately rushed in with excuses. She's still recovering from her ACL tear. She's shaking off rust. She's just getting her rhythm. Nice try, especially since that happened many years ago. Clark never got that luxury. She entered the WNBA as public enemy number 1, the player everyone wanted to test, foul, and physically intimidate. No soft entries, no easy games. No grace period, just pure fire, and she thrived in it. Paige, she was handed a velvet runway, and the second someone pulled it away, she tripped over her own hype. That's not superstar DNA. That's media fabrication collapsing. The Dallas Wings drafted Paige #1 overall, gave her every opportunity, and still wound up at 9-20. They didn't even sniff the playoffs. So much for the savior of the league. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark took the Indiana Fever from basement dwellers to playoff contenders in 1 year. She didn't just carry her own team, she carried the entire league. Attendance records, that's Clark. National TV deals, Clark. Merchandise sales exploding, Clark again.
This year, not enough, but if her name was Caitlin Clark, I bet she would have had at least 9 to 10 assists. You hear me? Because she's more than just a scorer. You hear me? Unlike Paige Bueckers, she's only a scorer. She's not dynamic. She's boring. You hear me? Clearly she fits the narrative, but she can't handle being double team or triple team.
Paige couldn't even stop her team from sliding into irrelevance in her first season. And this is the next Caitlin Clark? Please. One is a generational talent who literally transformed women's basketball. The other is a nice player who got gifted headlines she didn't earn. And this is the part fans are truly fed up with. The media spent months insisting Bueckers was superior to Clark. They highlighted her higher shooting percentages without mentioning that Clark takes 30-foot threes while Paige coasts on open mid-range jumpers. They ranked her above Clark in mid-season lists as if 6 weeks of basketball erased everything Clark has done for the sport. It was a manufactured rivalry, built on sand, and when Seattle turned up the physicality, the whole structure collapsed. Fans saw it. Social media saw it. The Emperor had no clothes, and the Paige Bueckers, Caitlin 2.0 narrative dissolved overnight.
Did you just say Paige Bueckers will save the WNBA season? This season? The same Paige Bueckers that's dating Elmer Fudd? The same Paige that plays in front of empty civic centers for the Dallas Wankers? You expect me to believe she is going to save the WNBA season? She can't even sell out home games. Matter of fact, she doesn't come anywhere close to selling out games. The Wankers rank near the bottom of the league in attendance.
Here's the bigger problem.
The league keeps trying to force-feed rivalries that simply don't exist. They truly think they can just copy-paste Clark's impact by propping up anyone with a decent stat line and a jump shot. But here's the absolute truth. Caitlin Clark isn't just another player. She's Tiger Woods. She's Serena Williams. She's LeBron James. She transcends the entire game. You simply don't manufacture that. It happens once in a generation, maybe even once in a lifetime. Paige Bueckers is not that. She never was. And pretending otherwise not only insults Clark, but insults the fans who know better. You can't fake greatness. You either have it or you don't. And Caitlin Clark has it in spades. The Storm didn't just beat Paige, they pulled back the curtain. They showed the WNBA and ESPN that no amount of glossy highlight reels or efficiency stats can cover for a player who isn't ready to be the face of the sport. They exposed the hoax, and now the entire narrative is in ashes.
You know what Paige Bueckers did every time the blitz came her way? Give up the ball and never look to get it back again. She just gave up. That is what we are talking about. You guys are running around and acting like everybody's getting guarded like Caitlin Clark, and it's not the truth. It's not facts at all. It's not facts at all. Paige Bueckers finally got a taste of a glimpse of what that tastes like.
Meanwhile, Clark continues to prove night after night that she's the absolute real deal. She's putting up incredible numbers under relentless physical pressure, setting records in hostile environments, and literally carrying a franchise and an entire league on her shoulders. That's not hype. That's raw reality. August 22, 2025 should go down in WNBA history, not as Paige Bueckers' coronation, but as the night the manufactured hype finally ended. The night the media's false narrative imploded. The night fans got to see in real time that there is no next Caitlin Clark. There's Caitlin Clark, and then there's everybody else. And Paige Bueckers. She just learned the hard way what happens when brutal reality meets pure fiction. Here's the ultimate takeaway. Caitlin Clark remains the gold standard. She's the player who isn't just elevating herself, but elevating the entire sport. Paige Bueckers is a nice talent, but she's simply not Clark. And after Seattle completely exposed her, she might not even be in the same conversation. The WNBA and ESPN need to stop manufacturing hoaxes and start appreciating the generational talent they actually have. Because fans aren't buying the hype anymore. They're buying into Clark. What do you think? Did Seattle officially end the Paige Bueckers experiment? Is this proof that the media's obsession with creating a next Caitlin Clark is doomed from the start? Let us know down in the comments if you believe in the Paige Bueckers hype.